everyone, I'm Crystal Juggled, the founder of Book of Bijou, and this is Empowered by Women. Whether you're joining us on YouTube, on Instagram, or your favorite podcast platform, I just want to thank you so much for being here with us today. I created Empowered by Women to create a space for individuals, especially women, to come and indulge in content that constantly inspires and motivates them to create and live the lives that they love and deserve for themselves. On top of that, I do these small business interviews to, for one, hopefully allow the audience of all of these brands that are already, purchasing the products and services that these brands are offering to really have the opportunity to get to know the people behind those brands and create a much stronger and deeper connection with those people. Of course, as small businesses, there is a real life human behind those businesses. So it's so important to get to know the people behind those brands. And for any new or aspiring entrepreneurs out there, I hope these interviews can be a source of inspiration, motivation, and encouragement for you to continue working hard to make your dreams come true. I am so excited for today's interview. We're going to be talking with Kristen Hong. She was actually a fellow stylist back in the day. That's how we met. We probably met in person once or twice. I actually have terrible memory. She always posted the cutest arm party photos on her Instagram. She always had the best energy. And thanks to Book of Bijou, we were actually able to reconnect. She was actually one of our product testers, and she is a big reason why our books are what they are today. So a huge thank you to Kristen for allowing this dream of mine to come true, but so excited for her. She is also known as Hello Nutritarian on Instagram. She's amassed a following of more than 150,000 people. She's released her first book, Fridge Love, which is available on Amazon. She's been on the Today Show. She's just doing so many amazing things. And I'm so excited to welcome Kristen Hong to our interview.
Oh my gosh, I've never been introduced like that before, and you just rocked it out, Crystal, and I'm so excited to be here with you. And you inspire me so much with what you've done with your business, and I was blown away when I was testing your product. I was trying to figure out something that I could critique on it, and that was very, very hard. And you've inspired me to pursue, hopefully in the future, something very similar with making my own product. So I'm so happy to be here with you, and thanks for having me.
I'm so honored. You're equally, if not more, an inspiration to me. And I know you have so many incredible things lined up for the future. So I'm so excited to be back in each other's lives so we can watch each other just keep on growing. Yeah. So let's start from the beginning. Hello Nutritarian, that's what you are on Instagram. What is a Nutritarian for those that might not know?
So a Nutritarian is a very specific lifestyle. I don't like to say diet anymore. I think we're all over the whole diet phase, and we've moved on to, what are the ways that we want to eat that make us feel the best? And Nutritarian's a form of high nutrient eating where you're trying to get in a lot of phytochemicals. So we all know kind of about the macros like protein, fat, and carbohydrates, but there's also the vitamins, minerals, and then these things called phytochemicals that actually work with your DNA and unlock certain aspects of your DNA that will help you fight infections, live a healthier life, and make sure that your cells are getting all the nutrients they need. And we've only discovered a few thousand of them, and there's so many more out there yet to be discovered. So this lifestyle was promoted by Dr. Furman, and it's really about how, when you look at a food choice, how many phytonutrients are going to be in this food choice. And he kind of ranks all the produce and vegetables and fruits according to how much nutrients they pack in per calorie. So I came into this because my dad had been watching a PBS special, and he kind of wrote everything down on a legal pad, and then him and my mom started following it when I was pregnant with my youngest. And then my mom came to visit us. She's in Florida, I'm out here in California. And when I picked her up from the airport, she looked like she had reverse aged like a decade, and she was just glowing, and she looked better than she ever had. And of course, I'm super pregnant. And I was like, what are you you doing? Mom, like, what happened? So she told me about the PBS special and how my dad started cooking according to these guidelines. And then I immediately got the book and I was like, you know, when my daughter is about 6 months, I think I'm going to try the 6-week plan. And at the time I had a mom's blog, my mama told me, and I would kind of share like recipes and crafts and things about being a mom. So when I did the first 6 weeks, I decided to keep a journal on my blog. And right away, it became the most popular content on the blog. And luckily, I ended up falling in love with the lifestyle at the same time. So after the 6 weeks were over, and I felt like what I call the Nutritarian feels, where you're kind of at like this high vibrational state because you are just feeding your body everything it really wants, which are those phytonutrients. And you like the brain fog kind of comes away, which look, we're moms, so the brain fog's never going to completely go away, but it definitely was noticeable. And then, you know, you just had I had a lot more energy. I could keep up with my kids who were young at the time. And I just felt really good around food, which in my history, I've had, you know, I've been a binge eater and I've had food addiction. And so this was a way that I felt really good around food. And I was able to eat a lot because the goal is you want to eat a lot of the food that's health promoting for you. So after that, I just kind of kept going and developing recipes and sharing about the lifestyle on my blog. And it kind of took off from there. And then I kind of niched down into Hello Nutritarian because my audience was really wanting to know more about food prepping. I started sharing on Instagram pictures of my refrigerator. And people really loved that. And I was like, okay, so there's a problem out there that needs solving. How do you meal prep as a nutritarian? Because I'm the only one in my family still to this day who eats this way. And, you know, you have to be prepared and you have to think ahead, because I struggled for many years in the beginning, not planning ahead, and it just put you on a path for disappointment. So I created a program where it was 6 weeks of nutritarian meal prepping, and I just kept sharing about it on social media. And luckily it's resonated with people. And on Instagram, I kind of was getting so much attention for the fridges that I started bringing in a new audience that was not nutritarian, but they would end up trying a few recipes or techniques because of the fridge photos. So then in the last like 3 years, I was like, how can I serve this new audience that's coming in from Instagram? And they had so many questions about food storage. So that's when I created the book, the idea for the book, Fridge Love. So it's really a testament to my Instagram audience. It does have some nutritarian recipes, but it's really a way for people to look at their fridge as a form of self-love. And I really am so proud and happy that I was able to bring a wide variety of people in with this book.
It's just such a cool journey to listen to and to follow along with, and to see that it was really your personal journey that you took everyone along with, but at the same time, all of those people were also helping to guide that journey and see what next steps you were taking. So that's really, really cool to hear.
One thing I really love about social media is you get that instant feedback from people. And, you know, I just started kind of collecting all these questions that were being asked, and I didn't know right away how I was going to solve it, you know, because there were so many types of questions. I was like, is this going to be a blog post? Is this going to be like a series of Instagram posts? But then I soon realized, like, I want to be able to answer these questions for everyone, and where everyone falls along the spectrum with food storage in their fridge. So the best way to me was doing a book, but you're completely right. I would have never gone on this trail if it wasn't for the feedback I was getting from real people and their real problems.
I think what I love most, though, is that you were still ultimately doing it for yourself. It was still affecting your body and your lifestyle. And it wasn't something that you were just constantly trying to like purge out just to please the people. You know, you were still very authentic 100% of the way. So I think that's my favorite part about your story. It's that it is your story still 100%.
Yeah, you know, and I know I'm going to be speaking at your conference, and this was one of the topics I really wanted to touch on, is that, you have to bring everyone along on your ride. You can't be, I think the best brands out there, whether they're a single business owner or a huge conglomerate, is they have a vision and they're executing that and they're bringing people along, but they're not trying to tailor it, you know, make it something that it's not, just to fit whatever's in style, whatever's fashionable at the moment. And I think that's the thing, is you really have to be a leader and be brave enough to be a leader from the beginning. I think that's such an important aspect of having a social presence and a brand presence.
Absolutely. All right, so let's take it back to when you saw your mom looking incredible. Sure, she looks amazing. So you really started this with the one goal of, I want to lose weight, right? And you've been very transparent on Instagram about how you had a history of binge eating and overeating and this very negative relationship with food. But since then, you've had so many other, what is the word I'm looking for? The opposite of consequences. Benefits. You've reaped so many other benefits from switching over to this Nutritarian lifestyle. So can you kind of just give us a quick list of all the ways that this lifestyle has changed your life?
Yeah, and I also want to give you props because a lot of people can't say Nutritarian, and you're just rocking it out from the beginning. A lot of people are like, hello, nutrition. So you're killing it with the Nutritarian. Yeah, you know, the biggest thing was understanding how true hunger works. Because I think with my binge eating, that was a lot of the problem, is I never felt full or satisfied. I was always going, wanting more. And I had this thing around food where I was just constantly obsessing over it. And as I went through the first 6 weeks, I really was at peace around food for like the first time ever. So that was probably the biggest one. And then the energy boost. Like, even I recommend to people, if you have no wanting to do this at all, one large salad a day can really up your energy levels. And I think the energy was one of them. And when you're detoxing in the beginning of the 6 weeks, your energy actually dips. But once you get over that hump, when your body is detoxified, then you get to feel like the real surge of energy. And another thing was the creativity boost, because my mind wasn't so hyper focused on food. I had a lot more space to get creative and focus on the things I really wanted out of life, instead of always thinking about when I was going to get my next hit of, you know, ice cream, bread, like whole giant bags of Costco chips. Like, so it was really a freeing experience for me with the history that I had.
Was that tough for you to kind of come out about your previous history with eating? Because I know it didn't come out until a little while you were already in this journey with everyone. So what kind of made you take that leap and decide to share your story about that? And how did you feel sharing that story for the first time?
I love that question so much, Crystal, because I wrestled with that for many years. I was in that mode of, I think it's a millennial thing where you have to appear perfect in social media. Mm-hmm. And I was starting to really hurt myself mentally over it because I wasn't being honest. And the truth was, after I did the first 6 weeks, I struggled to really turn it into a forever lifestyle. And the truth is, with food addiction and binge eating, I'm always going to be in recovery. And I've had times where I've relapsed, even now. So it was really hard for me to finally come out and first of all, show the difference of what I had been and what I am now. I remember like trembling when I posted like my before picture on Instagram, because I was a place there was like pretty happy food and fridges. And then I was kind of going to the real side. But once I did, and I just owned it, that guess what? I'm not a Cinderella story. I struggle, and I'm a person who has to fight for the things I want. And that's still a worthwhile story that needs to be shared, because a lot of us don't just change like with the flip of a switch. And so once I finally owned it and shared my full experience, my full journey, I started really feeling good about what I was doing. And yeah, it took me a while to get the bravery to be able to share that. But it was a big change. And I think it really catapulted me to feel freer to do other things.
Yeah, I was going to say there's nothing holding you back anymore. And it again just attributes to the fact that you are so open and authentic and 100% you. And that was a big part of it. Did you see like a huge increase or anything in your engagement or your following after you made that leap?
Yeah, I started getting emails and messages from people who are like, I resonate with what you're saying so much, especially on my email list, because my email list is where I really can push the boundaries. I feel like I'm talking directly to people through my email list because it's a long format and sometimes my emails are very long. I always try to provide like some kind of value, but I started sharing like the dark times in my journey, like the darkest times. And as I was starting to unlock in my mind, like, oh, this is why I did that, and this is what I can change, I would share that with my audience. And with those times when I would go to those dark places that I had been, people really resonated with that and it was helping them. And of course, once you start hearing that, you're like, okay, this is actually helping. That means that there's value in this. Not only is it freeing for me, but it's freeing for other people and it's making them feel inspired that they can change. And it's okay if they fail. I think that's the big thing. Like, it is so okay if you fail, but it hurts when you're failing, and you have to acknowledge the pain and try your best not to get hung up on guilt, because for so long I felt like I have to be a certain way. I'm putting myself out there kind of as an expert on nutritarian eating, but yet I'm failing. How do those two things coexist? And the truth is that it's messy. Like, life is messy in all directions. So you just have to own it and focus on the things that work and can work for other people. And when you fall or stumble or feel like you gave up for a while, you can come back and rebound and help others to do the same when they're feeling bad. But for me, the big unlocking moment was doing away with the guilt when I would mess up, not just in my eating, but also in business. Like, you just got to give up the guilt, mom guilt, business guilt, whatever it is, because it's like lashing on yourself when you're most vulnerable, and it just doesn't help. And I really got to a bad place with the guilt, and I would actually journal to myself, to myself that I felt had messed up, that person, and tried to understand, like, I need her with me at all times. Like, I can't bury her, I can't kill her and lock her away somewhere. Like, I need her to be with me for the whole duration of this journey, So that was a big moment for me that I shared with my audience. And as you said before, the more that you share, there's nothing holding you back. No one has anything on you because it's all out there in the open and you're sharing it. My mom thinks I'm an oversharer, but I feel like it's been helpful for me, and everyone has to figure that out for themselves. So yeah.
I am just looking at you with so much admiration, and honestly, I feel like I'm gonna cry, and I don't know why. But do you know like how much you are impacting people's lives and changing people's lives? Like, you are changing the world.
You're so sweet. When people message me, like, sometimes I'm still surprised because in my life, I'm just me, like, and man, my kids keep me humble. Like, I remember I brought home, I'm like, oh, look, I was in the Wall Street Journal, and my kids are like, so, first of all, they don't even know what a newspaper
That
is.
old thing.
But then, like, I opened up my book, like, my publisher sent me my box of books, and my kids are just like, yeah, we know you've been talking for 2 years about this book. Like, it's just, you stay humble when you're a mom.
Get over it, mom.
You just stay so humble when you're a mom. And I don't know, I sometimes ask myself, like, what is this drive that I had? And I just think that I'm excited by this stuff, and I've seen what it's done for me. And there's an art aspect to it that, just in these last few years, I've really started getting into also. And I'm like, you know what? I've always had to be a creative person. Even when I was in law school, I was using so much of my logical side that I would actually take art classes to kind of like combat that. And so I think it's just something I feel compelled to do. And I think that's what a lot of creative people and entrepreneurs do, is they're compelled, they feel passion for it. And so when I do get feedback from people saying, you've changed my life, it's humbling, because I'm not always thinking that way when I'm doing things. I'm just trying to share things. I'm trying to do it in the best way that I can at the moment. But when it lands and it helps people, like, then that's just like, that's extra golden frosting on the cake.
I love that for you. You're the perfect person for it. So let's talk about your family. You have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. How old are they?
So my son is almost 13. He'll be 13 in a few weeks.
Teenager.
I know. Let me just say that 12 is pretty much the new teenager marker, because he's been acting like a teen this whole time. And now he's taller than my husband now. So he is a guy. Like, sometimes he's walking in the hall and I think it's my husband, but it's my son. So it's crazy getting used to that. And we're redoing his room to a big, teenage room. So that's happening in the next few weeks for his birthday. And then my daughter is 9 and she'll be 10 at the end of July. She pretty much should be a teenager too. It's like I have 2 teens for real.
Right. So how does this whole Nutritarian lifestyle fit in with your family? I mean, because you said you're the only one that is living this lifestyle, which, first of all, I just want to say that I admire that, and the fact that you're not so heavily pushing it on them and you're still allowing them to make their own choices. But how does all of this, dietarily blended lifestyle, as I've seen you mention before, like, how does that work with your family?
Well, when this started, I started the Nutritarian 6 weeks the first time she was 6 months old. So it's been since 2013. And my husband, after I really liked it, and I was like, you don't have to be completely vegan on this plan. There is a version where you can have animal products, but I liked the vegan style. So I got really into it over the next few years, and I said I wanted everyone to do it. But my husband was like, look, you weren't born a vegan, you weren't raised a vegan, and he's Korean, and in their culture, there's animal products, and he wanted our kids to experience that upbringing. And I got it. I was like, I'm not the type who wants to make everyone conform to what I want. I'm going to try to figure out how I can make my lifestyle a priority for me while everyone is still having the options they want. But I definitely have influenced the family only because the fridge is filled with like chopped vegetables and fruit. So, which my husband loves, because we've all been remote. My kids are still remote learning. And he's like, he gets mad when the chopped stuff runs out, because it's just so easy to put together a meal for the kids. So I do know that even though they're not nutritarians, they have been exposed and regularly eat a lot more vegetables that, Brussels sprouts, kale, a lot of things that kids, I know when I was a kid, I wasn't eating. So, and they know, because they'll say, well, I don't want that. And I'll just tip over like my bowl of salad and be like, do you want this instead? Like, or are you going to have your cooked kale? This was when they were younger, and they didn't say anything to that. So it was like, God, yeah. So it was really exposing them from a young age. My daughter was a lot easier because she was 6 months when I started. So I was exposing her early on to all kinds of fruits and veggies. So overall, she eats a lot more of that by nature than my son does. But it's a requirement in our house, and it's like a non-negotiable. So the way we come around together is like, I always talk about, you want to have an in-fridge salad bar in your fridge, and we just take it out and everyone chooses the stuff they like. And then we try to do like a cooked green vegetable at dinner time along with that. And, fruit is our go-to dessert, but there are times where we let them indulge, like kids, I did as a kid. So it's a different way of being. And I think that's kind of been a niche within a niche, because a lot of people who try to go nutritarian, because it is pretty restrictive, they don't know, they can't wrap their head around how they're going to do this with their family or partners or spouses who don't want anything to do with the lifestyle. So it's really showing that a little bit of preparation can really help you stick to this, and you don't need to have everyone on board. You can create your own safe space within your kitchen.
I love that you are giving them that option, but it's still based on this very healthy foundation. You are like the mom that every mom aspires to be.
So not true.
So, I mean, for someone that does want to get into it, I mean, looking at your incredible fridge pictures can be very intimidating and overwhelming at the thought of like, oh my gosh, I have to prep all this food. I don't even know where to begin. So what would you say are like your top 3 tips for someone that is starting out and wanting to try out this lifestyle?
My top 3 tips is start off with 1 salad every day and make it a large salad. And if you can, try to do an oil-free dressing. I have tons of recipes on my website. And if people sign to my email list, you get a free 7-day salad cleanse plan where I give all the recipes for the salads, the dressings, and it's the perfect way to dip your toe into this lifestyle. I've even had friends of mine who just started doing the 1 salad a day, have no intention of being nutritarian, to help reduce cholesterol, and it did. So yeah, whatever lifestyle or way you lean with your food religion, I definitely think a big fresh green salad with lots of different toppings. I always like to do like a rainbow. And then hummus is a really easy dressing. I like to do hummus with balsamic vinegar. It's a really easy dressing option for salads that I discovered, like, I think it was 2017. And then I just kept eating for like 3 years straight. So yeah, I would definitely say a salad a day, or alternatively, or if you're doing the salad a day, is make an in-fridge salad bar, like I mentioned before, and just pre-chop enough stuff for the week. Things that last a long time in the fridge: carrots, red cabbage, or green cabbage, but red cabbage has extra phytochemicals. And then green onions last a long time, even when you pre-chop them. And bell peppers, you're running around like the 4-day range, depending on what you're storing them in. But those are kind of my go-to to make an easy, basic rainbow salad bar in your fridge. And then the other thing I would say is just start with 1 shelf in your fridge. And just, if you're going to put like chopped berries, some chopped pineapple, and maybe that in-fridge salad bar in 1 shelf. And when I wrote the book Fridge Love, it was really to make a statement that was practical, because on my Instagram, I have gone now into the realm of fridge art. I know, but it's only because I enjoy it. And now it's become like a styling thing for me that I really love. So I like sharing that there, but it's true. I don't want people to feel intimidated. So I wrote the book so that you can love your fridge no matter what kind of fridge you have. I'm a big proponent of not going out and buying new fridges. Like this fridge that I bought for the book is actually a damaged floor model. But I got it, it was at a discount. And I also knew that no one was ever going to really want this fridge. And I use it in tons of Instagram pictures and videos, and it works wonderfully, even though the outside is dented. And so even people who have really old fridges, like I've had readers who have like 17-year-old fridges. Fridges are really good at doing their job, and even super old fridges are still effective. And it's kind of like the manufacturing industry with cars, is they want you to be tied up with your fridge, like being kind of like your class worth. And we don't need to do this. That fridges work so well. That's why so many people put their old fridge in their garage for like decades, and it's still going. So Fridge Love is about loving the fridge you have. No matter what it looks like on the outside, you can make it beautiful and inspiring and impactful for your health on the inside.
I love that you mentioned that's how you make your rainbow bowl. Like you specifically said rainbow. So obviously all of your pictures are on Instagram are beautiful. And, that's probably, that's what catches everyone's eye. And then they're drawn to the rest of your story. But all these beautiful rainbow bowls and rainbow fridges. And you've already kind of mentioned it, that was just something that you really loved doing. That wasn't like purely for Instagram or anything, but I mean, that helps you with like your meal prepping and all of that, right? Kind of just makes it a little bit more fun.
Yes, exactly. And I'm not going to say that Instagram didn't influence me, because I've been on Instagram for so long now, since we were in Stella and Dot.
Right.
And I loved I still love Instagram, but during those heyday of Instagram, I was so inspired by others, like other artists, other people who did vegan food, other people that I've become friends with over the years. And you know, everything's percolating and cross-pollinating. So like when someone's sharing something beautiful, it inspires me to want to do something beautiful in my area. So I know Instagram had a lot to do with this, especially with the fridge art. But it's true. I've used it as the way to lure people in to talk about other things too, because so many people are drawn to it. And you know, if people are drawn to it and I enjoy it, and like you said, it makes all of this be more fun for me, then it's just like a win-win-win.
So I know you're doing this full time now. This is your business. Were you doing My Mama Told Me full time and you were just a work or a stay-at-home mom and then doing that blog?
So when I had My Mama Told Me, we started it in 2011. And it was not my full-time job at that time. My husband, he worked in the industry, so he set up the blog with his friend, and they were kind of doing a network of websites, and they're like, do you want to do a mom's blog? And they kind of showed me how to do it. And I was like, yeah, because like I said, I love doing creative stuff. And I would put up a lot of crafts. And when I did Stella and Dot, I remember writing a few articles about hosting parties, and that became pretty popular. I remember putting it on one of our stylist Facebook groups. And so I kind of was just, whatever I was doing at the time, I would put it up on the blog. And then after we went to Hoopla, I think it was the one in Vegas. I don't know if you went to that one or not.
I did.
Okay, so it was the one in Vegas, and I remember one of the girls was up there and she was doing screenwriting for a movie. She was one of the speakers. And I was like, you know, I've always wanted to write a book. And I was like, well, maybe I think I'm going to write a book after this. And what I ended up doing was I was like, I have all these people on My Mama Told Me who are there for the Nutritarian food. And I was like, why don't I write something for them? That's when I wrote the 7-day salad cleanse, which you get when you sign for my email list. And then I was like, you know, I need to invest in this. And I took everything I learned from Stella and Dot, which I always still feel that Stella and Dot was like marketing, like business school for me, because I understood about having your own product. I learned how to do social media through Stella and Dot. And I understood marketing a lot better after going through that. So I did try to make Stella and Dot, be my full-time income. And I had a group, I think at the biggest point, I had a group of 7. And it got to a point where I was like, you know, something else is calling me with my website. And I think I want to explore that and take everything I've learned and apply it to that. And that's exactly what I did. And I rebranded and I created a prep program. And then that's how it became my full-time income.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Like, what was kind of that turning point that made you make that jump to creating or making Hello Nutritarian your full-time job? So when, I don't know if you remember, but when you did switch over to Hello Nutritarian, like what was your following like at that time?
Oh my gosh. I think on Instagram, I think I had like 6,000, maybe 5,000 followers because on Instagram I had been freshly blinged, and then
I remember that.
we were the OGs, they know. And then I was MMTM blog, and it was 2017. It was the beginning of 2017 when I launched my program, and it took me a long time to write and create this program. I'd never done anything like that before. And it was based on feedback from people who were like, look, we love your fridges. We love seeing your meal prep, because I had started getting into meal prep. So I created a 6-week program for people following the Nutritarian lifestyle, where you would have 6 weeks of all the menus, recipes, you know, shopping lists and prep scripts, so that you could meal prep and batch prep for the week. And it was really because there was nothing like that out there, because I needed that. I needed something for one person in a family where everything could be laid out for me and I could cook once a week, because I have to cook for my family on demand during the week. So I created that program, and we were hoping for like 30 people to join. And the first day it was out, we had like 300 people join. And then that's when my husband was like, you know, I think this is your full-time job now. So that was when we rebranded it to Hello Nutritarian. And I've been so lucky and fortunate that there have been a lot of people who have used the prep program, joined it, and have found it helpful and have even changed their life. I had one member who, reversed a cancer diagnosis. And, people are really using this to help, real conditions, which for me, it was really about, look, how can I practically do this in a family that doesn't eat this way? And so I've been blessed that there was a need for this at the time. Now there's others who have done this too, but and I've been so fortunate that people have joined and are still using this program, and I'm about to be revamping it again. I revamped it back in 2018. And now that I went through writing the book, I'm so ready to revamp the program because I learned so much during the process of writing the book, and I'm ready to elevate it. And I think that's another thing for anyone listening to this who's an entrepreneur or making a product, is your first stab, it can still help people, even if it's not perfect. When I released my prep program in 2017, it wasn't perfect, but it was effective. It was helping people. And then I quickly revamped it and made it what I had wanted it to be that first time. And now that I've evolved again, I want to elevate it again. And I think that's a really good approach. You don't have to be perfect to get something out there that's going to have impact in people's lives. And you have time to get better with time and as you experience new things as a business owner.
I love that tip. That's such a great tip. You just need to get started. Don't worry about perfection. You perfect as you go. And if you don't get started, you'll never learn. And you're always going to be at that same kind of mediocre level, if we're being honest with everyone, right? You have to start out mediocre.
It's true. I mean, your early stuff. Yes, your early stuff, you look back, it's cringy. But you know what? It's part of the process.
Right. Absolutely. Did you ever think it would grow to what it is today?
No way. No way. I remember being blown away when I released the prep program, and then I just kept going. And then I was like, I think the mission here is I just want to bring the Nutritarian lifestyle into the conversation, because we hear about the keto, Whole30, all these different types of lifestyles. Nutritarian lifestyle is not that well known on the main media, in mainstream media. So I kind of made that my mission for a few years after that. And then it started happening. I started having media outlets reach out to me on Instagram. I've been interviewed from outlets all across the world. So I feel like I met that mission statement of really being able to get this out into the world. And now there's even more Nutritarian bloggers, coming up. And it's really been nice to have that kind of a change and that level that I never would have ever imagined when I was just starting out, because the change was just personal. It was just me. And then just by sharing your story, you can see how powerful that can be, and create a lot of momentum for other things. And, it's been a crazy journey, but I never would have known it. I just always was trying to do the best I could at that moment. Especially in Instagram, like I told you, you look back on old stuff, you cringe, but you were just doing what you could at that time. And like I said, being inspired by so many other people on that platform has helped me grow over the years, and have a network of supportive women and men, artists and, recipe developers and bloggers on Instagram that we've all seen together, come up together. Has been really wonderful experience.
Your story is just so incredible. So let's talk about your book. You launched your first book. Congratulations. I follow you on Instagram, so I've been seeing everyone's reviews, and it's so incredible to see. And I'm so proud to see all of these reviews for you. I'm just so excited for you. And as you mentioned, you're just doing interviews left to right. So how has the launch of your book changed the trajectory of your business? What changes have you noticed?
Well, first I'm going to say that the launch was not perfect. It was supposed to be in December and it got pushed out. And it was frustrating at the time because I was like, you work so hard for something, you start talking about it and then it's pushed out, right? It's just, you feel bad, but everyone was so supportive and they're like, listen, this time that we're in with the supply chain, like this is totally foreseeable that something like this would happen. So I had to get over yet again, like the disappointment of it not being perfect. And again, like life's going to keep teaching me this, like, Kristen, don't ever. And I think finally I'm getting the message on this, like with the book, because I felt like, wow, it's completely out of my control. And then I remember like Amazon accidentally sent out everyone who had pre-ordered the Kindle version on my original pub date. Amazon just randomly sent all of those out, which I was happy for everyone who got it. But then I was on the phone with my literary agent and my publisher, like, what's up? Like, how I can't publicize this, because then what about people who pre-ordered the physical book, you know? So I had to really learn. I learned so much about the publishing industry. There was a fake version of my book like 2 months before it launched. I actually
know you made it.
It was a real printed book on Amazon. I ended up buying it because I just wanted to see this. Luckily, my publisher got it taken down. But it was like an emotional roller coaster during this book launch. And now that it's actually out in the world since February, and I was so lucky to be able to have like big media spots like on the Today Show, it's been overwhelming, the response, because when you write a book, you kind of get scared. Well, you get super freaked out in the beginning, and then as you're writing it, and it's getting closer to it coming out, you have that fear, like, what if this doesn't land? You know, what if nobody gets what I was trying to say here? And my book was very unconventional because it wasn't just a normal cookbook. It has like a whole book within it. I always say it's 3 books, but it has a whole produce storage guide that's 79 pages, where you can just come home from the grocery store and be like, how do I store, you know, lettuce? There's 7 pages on lettuce, because there's so many issues that can happen in different varieties of lettuce. And I really wanted to make this a manual more than a cookbook, but my publisher's like, we need it to be also a cookbook. So I wrote the book so no matter where you are on the spectrum, you can have a fridge goal that matches the amount of time you want to invest for the week. And I think that's what's really been great when I'm getting all the feedback from the book, is that people love that individuality, and they see that it's doable even with just 15 minutes starting off. You don't have to like start with 2 hours investment in complete meal prepping to get a good impact and return on your fridge. And getting on Instagram and seeing everyone post about the book has been the best feeling ever. And I wish like I could have seen the future when I was writing the book, because there were times I was writing it during the pandemic where I was just questioning my sanity, questioning what I was doing writing a book like in 2020. So it was so rewarding after struggling through writing it to actually see it in the world and impacting people, and like people sharing their fridges. And that's probably my favorite part of this whole process, is seeing people using it in real life.
So I haven't told you yet, but I do actually have the book. And I've done just like a quick browse through it so far, but obviously just from flipping through it, it looks incredible. And I can tell how much love and time and research has gone into it. So congratulations. I'm so excited for you.
And thanks for getting it.
Of course, I had to. Do you expect more books in the future?
Oh my gosh, like my husband like had to literally carry me through on his back like the last few months of doing that book. And he's like, well, you know, you're gonna be doing it. I'm like, no, don't ever say anything about doing another book. It was such a, like, I almost feel like it was my 3rd child, because it was a 2-year process. And you do have like that weird maternal feeling towards it, like as your baby. And I tried to pack in so much information into this book, I think because I never wanted to write another book in the future. Because I was in one interview and they're like, you know, you really could have made this 3 books. I'm like, no. I wanted it to be 1 book. I want to over deliver on value. And I'm hoping it'll just be like the one classic book that I wrote.
Check off your to-do list.
Yes.
Write a book, done.
Exactly. So like my next goal that, I mean, I don't know if it will happen, but I'm going to put it out there, is I really wanted to turn the book into a show where I could go to people's homes and I can be in their kitchen, talk with them about what their goals were, and help them transform their own fridge. So I'm kind of thinking of it as like a 30-minute like reality TV, kind of like the home edit, but specifically for the fridge. So I'm going to be shopping that around this summer. And I'm hoping, like when I wrote the book, that was always in the back of my mind, that I would love to do a television show. So I'm going to try and see if that will work. And I've been really happy with the feedback and the people who bought the book, and it's doing well. So we'll see what happens when I shop around that idea.
I was not sure if you were going to share that during the interview today, but I am so excited. It is out there in the world. So
dude, I'm trying to put it out there. I'm trying to be more like, I need to manifest.
Yes, absolutely. Manifest it. When you told me about it, that was probably like less than a month ago. And only you and your publicist and your husband knew, right? And then me, of course, because have you also been talking to quite a few other people since then? Or is this the big announcement?
It's not like a huge announcement. I've had people who've contacted me like after reading the book, and they're like, do you do consultations, or can you come to my house? And I'm like, no, but maybe one day you can be applying to be someone that I go see. And I've just slowly started talking about it more, because that's all right. Like we have to do that. It's, if you have a dream, you can't keep it hidden away, you know, and this is a scary one because I don't know if it will happen. I really don't.
I know it's going to happen. Like I can see the future. And I mean, I'm friends with a famous person.
Oh gosh. So yeah, man, I've just been owning it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put it out there. If it does happen, that's awesome. If not, like my backup plan is I'm willing to do a pilot. I have someone on board who would do it, because sometimes when you're shopping a show idea, it's hard for a potential producer to kind of see it. But if you get a pilot episode done and out there, that might be enough. So I'm like, I'm going to just try. I'm going to try shopping it. If no one bites the first time, then I'll try doing it on my own and see what happens.
It is absolutely going to happen. I have no doubt in my mind. And the fact that you already have your book and people raving about it, that is just more of an excuse for, you know, TV shows, whatever they're called, networks, to pick up your show. So literally not a single doubt in my mind that it's going to happen for you.
We'll see, man. I hope. I really do. And I feel like I put in the work slowly over the years to get to this point where I feel comfortable even saying that. Like I've done videos for my prep program and my website, and I enjoy that process a lot. Like I really enjoy, I don't like having to sit and edit my own videos. But I love like coming up with the general ideas, working and collaborating with the videographers. So it's fun. And I just am going to, you know, crystallize my vision for the show and then start shopping it out there. I've been Googling everything I've ever done has been searching it up on Google on how to do it. And doing a show, pitching a show is no exception. So I'm just going to do what Google says, and I'm going to try it out and see what happens.
And you're a natural on camera too. So I know it's going to be a hit. You are going to be the next home edit, the fridge edit. So you heard it here, folks. Start blowing up Kristen's email and applying to be on her show so you can get a fridge makeover.
You're the best. And, you know, I feel so comfortable with you, which is why you're one of the first person that I told, because you and what you've done with your product and creating something out of nothing, like out of the thin air, and going through, and you researched everything, how to do it yourself. You have inspired me. I talk about you. My husband knows you because of what you've done. Okay. Like, so I felt comfortable talking with you about it. And, you know, if any place that I'm going to announce it, I'm glad that it was here.
Oh, that makes me so happy because I talked to Daniel about you too.
So when our husbands speak, they'll already know.
Right. And I've told him too. I was like, oh my God, can you believe that I'm friends with a famous person? Like I'm friends with someone on TV.
You will be next, I'm sure.
I'm honestly so grateful that our paths have crossed and that we're back in each other's lives. So I'm forever grateful.
Yes.
And we've been chatting for almost an hour already, but Thank you so much, Kristen, for joining me today. Really quick before we leave, can you tell everyone where to find you, your website, your book, your Instagram, everything?
Totally. So my website's hellonutritarian.com. And if you sign up for my email list, like I mentioned before, you'll get my free 7-day salad cleanse plan PDF sent to your email box. And I try to do my emails every week, or sometimes every 2 weeks. And I just share like what I'm doing at the time, any great publicity that I've done, like this interview will be up there on the email. And I just try to share something that's valuable for you in your journey. And also, you know, what's going on with me in my journey with Hello Nutritarian. And then of course, Instagram is probably where I'm the most active on social media, and that's at Hello Nutritarian. And then I also do Facebook. I post about once a week there. And my new thing is I have a TikTok account. And I've been like lurking in TikTok land, also feeling incredibly old and out of fashion. And no, but I'm going to be posting on there. So I have 2 handles on TikTok. One is Fridge Love Book and the other one's Hello Nutritarian. And I have 1 video up on the Fridge Love Book account. And I'm going to start getting into TikTok. And I've been like blown away by the fridge content on TikTok. And like, there's this one guy, I don't know his handle, but he has like this gorgeous black interior fridge, and he like wears jewelry, and he like restocks his fridge in this super interesting way, the way he sets up his camera angles. And I'm just like, oh, like there's so much inspiration there. And I guess like walk-in custom fridges are a thing in Southern California real estate, because all these videos on TikTok of like walk-in custom fridges that look like something out of a restaurant, like Ratatouille, like a walk-in restaurant fridge, and people just have like gorgeous baskets like with all this fresh produce. And I'm like, only in California, man. Only in California would that exist.
But like, who are you feeding? How do you get through all that food?
Having like a lot of dinner parties on the horizon.
That's true. They're like hosting balls and things.
Yeah, bougie fridges are a thing on TikTok, and mine are not bougie, but I'm definitely inspired by the way that they're, you know, filming their reels and their videos on TikTok. So that will be my next frontier for social media.
I was going to say, you're going to have to invest in one, because your whole thing is being all inclusive for all fridge types.
That's right.
So convert the garage. Tell your husband.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell my husband, 60 grand walk-in fridge happening
Right.
on our tiny house.
And then lastly, your book on Amazon.
Yes.
Love. Is there anywhere else to get it right now, or just Amazon currently?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon, Target, and Barnes and Noble, and I think Books A Million. I have it listed on my website under the cookbook tab. And also, if you're international, you can find links there for the UK and Australia too.
All over the world. Love it. And then of course, to us, you can follow us on Instagram as well, Empowered by Women, which is where this interview will be posted, as well as our YouTube channel. Subscribe there, or to whatever your podcast platform is that you're listening to this. And then also Book of Bijou, which is my other business that I launched. So thank you guys at home for joining us. Thank you again, Kristen. This has been an incredible interview.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal. I loved every second.